really one of the stories between you two was that second exchange and that second stint getting out in front of Colton was key in that one.
Yeah, I think the amount of dig that we had. I think the alternates they were lasting from a pace perspective, but again, balance was very tough at the end of stints, and I knew that from my own first stint. So really, it was just a very similar race for me compared to Barber. Used the undercut and attack, and obviously it worked. And I knew I had to surprise him, so I did it into 11 instead of waiting for the main straights. Always fun racing.
And again, Colton, congratulations on the podium here at a track that I know you love so much, and WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna, Seca. Just your thoughts on a podium here and that battle you had with Christian coming out of turn 11.
Yeah, it was fun, and at the end of the race too. I think it was. I kept him on his toes at the end, and unfortunately he got behind me in that pit exchange. But it's fun when you get to race here when you have deck like we did, and it opens up lines and allows more raceability. It makes this place a lot of fun. For me, this is my favorite racetrack in the country, and it really is. I treasure every moment that we get to bring IndyCar here. It's a super track, and it deserves IndyCar, and it needs IndyCar. And it's we go well together. So love racing IndyCars here. Love the ability that the track kind of weathered and opened up lines, and now you can race here a lot better than the last 2 years. And I think it shows that it earned its spot on the calendar for sure this year.
Shades of 2022, maybe earlier than that, right?
100%.
All right, we'll open up for questions, and time permitting, take some off of Zoom as well before Alex Below shows up, and then also Barry Wansley, the longtime team manager for the 10th. Let's start here in the front row with Wolfgang. We'll work out. David, you got one? We'll go to David after that. Go ahead, Wolfgang.
Christian, question for you. The last restart on the yard last yellow came out when Ferrucci's farm. The gap to Baloo was only 0.3 seconds. You were thinking then there would be a realistic chance to catch him after the restart?
Yes and no. I would say he had a pace advantage. I was really struggling on the last hit. We were on a used set of alternates that we knew we had to run longer than we run the other two new alternate stints. So I knew it was going to be tough. But I was just trying to keep it on the track in all honesty and stay ahead of Colton. I think that makes it. Is it up there?
Mike, you talk. We lost Mike. There.
Hello.
Check. 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2.
Hello.
We heard you.
Gotcha. It just made it a lot tougher, having to keep Colton behind as well.
David?
Yeah, Christian, could you kind of go into a little bit more detail on the strategy choice today, and you kind of did something different than everybody else to work on?
Yeah, I think it was a big question mark going into the race, and I think it was one of those weekends where it's very tough to really decide the strategy because you had to decide it last night, right after warm up, which we call cool down. When it's on Saturday evening, and you have all night to sleep on it, and you know already Saturday night what people are going to start on, but you don't know if it's going to be a red race, you don't know if it's going to be a prime race, and specifically this weekend with the lack of running we've had, not running P2, it's been extra hard. The 7 car did it last year, obviously when I wasn't in the car, and they made it work, so we were very determined to try to do something different and kind of do something similar. And obviously it worked out today, but we also knew that the undercut would work. I wasn't quite expecting to be on the used alts at the ends. Much more preferred that to be the second to last stint, have a new set at the end, but it's easy to complain after the fact, but looking at us finishing second from 7th is certainly great.
For Colton, you started up at the front, you kind of got to observe Alex Below very closely. What was the difference in pace with him and his driving in his car versus the rest of the field today?
I think we could compete with him. Obviously, the first stint, the tire offset, you saw how big of an offset it was, and then we're reeling him in when we were on the other side of it. And at the end, on the restarts, I felt just as strong as him, and and he didn't really pull away from us too much. And I felt like I had his pace, but again, having his pace and being able to do it the whole race and overcuts and undercuts, it's a different thing. So again, they drove a really good race and they were very fast. But I think we had similar pace, so we were close. Maybe not enough to overtake, but definitely a step in the right direction.
And for the two of you, just kind of describe the difference in feel between a new set of reds and a new set of reds during this race, because that seemed to make a pretty big difference.
I think the overall grip is similar. Like when you are on the new or the used, when you get like that third or fourth lap peak, it's a similar feeling. But then those kind of minor twitches or minor snaps, they happen sooner than the new tires. And really, it's just kind of the pace just kind of deads evenly, I think, with the new reds, but it's just below it the whole time after like lap 4. So all those little minor twitches that you hope to feel on like lap 10 or lap 12 on the new reds, you feel it on like lap 6 or lap 7. And you feel that, it's like, oh boy, this could go really wrong.
Yeah, I think it's very similar. From my point of view, it's kind of just an offset, right? They do have a memory in a sense. If you've had an understeery or an oversteery balance the first time you run the tires, that's kind of the balance that you're going to have the second time you run them. And I think all of us are a little more on the oversteery side, and it's not necessarily a fun track to have oversteer.
One question per person. Let's go off of Zoom. Dan Jones. I'm sorry.
Jared Haas with Frontstretch.com. Come back more for some great racing video content. And if you like us, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.